Hey, just want to give you an update on the trip. It's been an amazing week. I was in Smithers, BC all week, which is part of the Bulkley Valley. I was also in Houston, a couple days speaking at a school. I was also at Witsit, which is First Nation just outside of Smithers. So I spoke at 3 schools over 4 days, did a TV interview, and also was interviewed for online newspaper, I guess. And so it was a pretty interesting week. I stayed at an Airbnb all week, and there was another guy staying at the Airbnb who is on a 3-month contract working with the Wet'suwet'en. And so if you listen to the news at all, if you live in Canada, there's been a lot of news about the Wet'suwet'en with the pipeline. I'm not going to get into it. I just know that from the conversations with him, it's extremely complicated, and I have no opinion on it. I was also at the school yesterday, like I mentioned, the Witsit First Nation. And there's even people within their own families who are divided on this issue. There was even, they told me, a couple that separated after they had a disagreement about, which side they were on. And so, it's been pretty interesting. So it's been pretty interesting just listening to the news. I don't listen to a lot of it, but just checking out some of the news, seeing what people share, and then actually being there and talking to some people who are engaged firsthand in the conversations. And so the biggest thing that I've learned from a lot of this, and I constantly learn this all the time, is we only have so much living that we can do. And if we're getting caught up in things that don't really impact us, things that we don't have control over, we're not living our life. And so, there's so many things that we could care about. There's so many things that we could get caught up in. Frisbee is my thing. I'm not a very good dancer. I'm not a very good singer. Just because there's something happening in the news, does that mean that that's what we should be focusing on? Does it mean that we should consume our lives with that? I don't think so. And, you can judge me however you want, but I really think it's important that we just find our thing. And it's okay to not jump from issue to issue. It's okay to live your own life. And I think if you're not taking care of yourself first, then you can't really do much for anybody else. The best analogy that works for that is when you're on an airplane, especially if you're a parent, they always tell you to put on your oxygen mask before you help your kids out. And so if we look at our lives that way, if we're always trying to take care of other people, right? If we just took care of ourselves, if they took care of themselves, obviously there's situations where that's not happening, but the vast majority of our existence, of this world, of this living, would be a lot better if we just focused on ourselves, if we just took time and instead of trying to tell people how to live, tell ourselves how to live, just focus on your own life. And so today's been interesting. For the last 3 hours, I've not had cell phone service. It's interesting. It's 2020 and the amazing technology we have, and northern BC, there's no cell phone service. I don't know if I'll have it for the next day and a half. I don't even know. Maybe when I'm in the Yukon. So I'm driving to the Yukon right now. I've never been to the Yukon before. My first time in any of the territories in Canada, which I'm super excited about. I have 5 schools there next week. It's going to be quite an adventure. It's already been an adventure, but the Yukon especially is going to be an adventure. I'm going to have a lot to share about that. On Tuesday, I'm going to be spending some time at a muskrat camp with the school. So I'm not really sure exactly yet what I'll be doing. I have an itinerary. I know roughly when I'm scheduled to do some Frisbee, to talk about resiliency, to try and link that with what they're doing, with the trapping of muskrats and things like that. They're doing a lot of traditional things like bannock making, and it's going to be an experience. And that's really what this is all about. It's not about Frisbee. It's so much deeper than that. It's about the messages. It's about trying to link everything together. So for me, it's Frisbee. For somebody else, it's dancing. For somebody else, it's singing. For somebody else, it's art. For somebody else, it's volleyball. Whatever it is, just find your thing. And so instead of worrying about what other people are doing, worry about yourself first. And then once you take care of yourself, and it's simple things, exercise, eating, sleeping, reading, just taking time for you. Because if you can't do you, then you can't really help anybody else. So once you help yourself, once you focus on yourself, design your life instead of trying to live a life that we think we should be living or other people tell us to live. Just live your life. That's really what it comes down to. So anyway, it's pretty incredible out here. The roads have been very interesting. You know, northern BC require winter tires, and so I definitely have those on. Have barely seen any cars or trucks on the road. There's a camp up here that I just passed not too long ago that has a helicopter. No cell phone service up here at all, so they use satellite phones. The camps do have Wi-Fi, so we'll see what happens. I'm a couple hours away from the hotel, and looking forward to getting there, having a couple hours to do some work, just relax, have a good sleep, and then get on the road tomorrow to the Yukon. Hopefully I can even upload this video. This video might, I don't know what the Wi-Fi is like, so we'll find out. If you're watching this and it makes sense, I'm still talking about Saturday, then the Wi-Fi worked. If not, we'll see what happens. I hope everyone's having a fantastic weekend, getting outside, spending time with the people you care about, spending time doing what you love to do, doing your thing.